Over on my Instagram account, I got a request to do the Harry Potter tag. I thought that I'd already answered pretty much every question you possibly could about Harry Potter on my YouTube channel. But just in case, I looked up the questions and what do you know? I was wrong. And if you know me, you know I am always up for talking about Harry Potter. If you are too, give me a thumbs up. So there are a few different sets of Harry Potter tag questions out there, so I decided to take my favorites from all of them and add a few of my own. I'll put them in the video description below in case you'd like to read them or answer them yourself. And there will be some mild spoilers for the books, the movies, and one question about Cursed Child if you're still avoiding those. Okay, let's jump into it. Favorite book? I usually say Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, but I also really love Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I'm interested in rereading them so that I can see if that still holds up as my favorite. Books or movies? Is this even a question? Books. Favorite quote? Anything's possible if you've got enough nerve. Ginny Weasley. Favorite female character? Luna Lovegood, for sure. I love Luna. She's amazing. Favorite male character? Neville Longbottom. Are there any non-binary characters? Just statistically, I'd be surprised if there weren't any non-binary characters in the books. I would personally love to hear more about this. I've heard some interesting fan theories. I'm sure there's some awesome fan fiction out there that covers this whole thing. Maybe it'll be like a Dumbledore situation where J.K. Rowling will bless us with some information after the fact, but not actually include any LGBT representation in the books themselves. We'll see. Favorite Weasley? Gotta go with Fred. Favorite villain? I think I'm going to say Snape. Even knowing everything that we know about him, I would still consider him to be a villain given that he antagonized all of the main characters. I did a whole video about him if you want to hear me ramble about Snape some more. Favorite professor? Ah man, I love Minerva McGonagall. That woman is freaking awesome. Is there a character that you felt differently about in the movies? Ginny was such a badass in the books, and I wish they'd included just a little tiny bit of that in the movies. I have no idea why you would take a character like that who's so full of fire and energy and just turn her into a prop. Is that... I mean, she kind of is. I also prefer Harry and his sass in the books. If you take the scene from the movies where Harry takes the Felix Felicis and goes off and has an amazing day, the level of snark and sass is kind of what I saw in Harry in the books the whole time. He is so sarcastic and funny, and they didn't really carry that through to the movies for whatever reason. Is there a movie that you prefer to the book? No. Can't say that there is. Is there any aspect of the books that you'd want to change? I definitely think that the Harry Potter series is lacking in representation. Knowing what an impact this series and its characters had on me growing up, I want that for more people. I want people to be able to see themselves represented in a series like this. Part of the books that made you cry? Basically the whole second half of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The deaths were pretty rough. Which house would you be in? For me, it's always been Hufflepuff. Since I read the books when I was a kid up until the Pottermore quiz, which I did get Hufflepuff, which is great. It's not that I don't fit into any of the other houses, it's just that all of the things that are most important to me are also important to Hufflepuff. I am wearing my Badger shirt today, gotta represent, and I really don't care if you don't like Hufflepuff. If you don't think that being hardworking and determined and valuing friendship are important things, that reflects more on you than it does on me. Which class would be your favorite? I think I'd be really into Care of Magical Creatures. I've always loved animals and magical creatures just fascinate me, and I would love to take a class all about them. Which is another reason why I've been so excited for the Fantastic Beasts series to be a thing. And I really enjoyed the magical creature element of that movie. Which spell do you think would be the most useful? Hands down, I've got to say apparating would be amazing. I travel a lot and I like to travel, but there are a lot of places that I would like to be and not enough time to get there. I'd love to go visit my family more often, but they're too far away. I'd love to go to as many different nerd conferences as I could, but it's just impossible. If I could just apparate, it would make my life so much easier. What would your Patronus be? I always said, when I had to guess, that my Patronus would be a manatee because I've always loved them, and I think they're just amazing, gentle, beautiful creatures. I also think it would be kind of funny, like doing a spell, like this little person, and then having this giant, like, sea cow come out of the wand. That would be pretty cool, I think. But I took the Patronus quiz on Pottermore, and I got an aardvark. And I really like that. So I think I'm gonna stick with an aardvark. I feel like that's my personality. I think it's freaking weird and I love it. Which character would you instantly become friends with? Probably Luna, because when I was in school, everybody thought I was weird. And so I kind of hung out with all the other weird kids. And so I think I would gravitate towards Luna for sure. Why are questions like this so popular? And why do you think there's such a tendency to imagine yourself inside these books? So this is another question that I added to the list, and I'm going to answer it with a story. When I was on tour a long time ago, I was at a library in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and after the show, the library actually has their own podcast and they wanted to interview us for it. And the people hosting the podcast were the librarian, who was super awesome and hosted tons of shows for us over the years, and then one of her teen interns who was there. And they asked us why Harry Potter is such a big deal and why so many people love it so much. And my answer was that the characters are so relatable that you feel like you know them. And a lot of us grew up with these characters. We grew up alongside them. We got to see them as kids and saw them all the way through their teenage years up until the point where they're 17. And so for me, that was a really powerful thing. I wanted to know what was going to happen to them. I felt like they were friends of mine that got me through a lot of really rough times. I feel like everyone knows a kid like Neville or knows someone like Hermione. And I really do think that that's the reason why people see themselves in this universe. And then the teen intern, who was a little bit of a bully and not really very nice to us, basically reminded me that these are made up children's stories and there might be something wrong with me if I take them this seriously. And that these characters are not real people. In case you needed clarification, I am more than aware of that fact. I just stopped talking during the podcast at that point. And after we left, I had kind of been turning this around in my mind a lot, and I realized the perfect comeback would have been just to turn to her and say, "Okay, Malfoy." Because really, we all know somebody like Draco Malfoy. That's why the things he did hurt so much to read. Have you played any of the video games? Yeah, I played a bunch of them. I had a GameCube, so I played like the first, the second, and the third, I believe. By far my favorite part of the video games was running around the castle and doing spells. I felt like they were a little bit unbalanced. Like some of the earlier challenges were unnecessarily difficult, and then the later like major bosses were really easy. So I definitely got stuck a lot, and it was a little bit frustrating as a game. But if they made a game where I could just run around Hogwarts, I would be so happy. Were you happy with the ending? Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of surprised at how happy I was with the ending. Going into Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, I felt like there were so many open-ended questions that there was no way she was going to answer them all. And honestly, I think she did a pretty good job. It tied all together. I didn't see very many of the twists coming. Some of them I did, but it was still fulfilling for me to read the ending of the story. I feel like it really reflects on the fact that J.K. Rowling had a plan going into it and she knew how it was going to end. When you go back and you reread it, you see little clues she left, and it's really clear that she didn't just make up the ending near the end. She had a plan of where it was going to head, and I think that that made it a lot more effective. What did you think of Cursed Child? I have not seen the play, but I read the script, and I'm kind of wishing that I hadn't. Now that I know that it's coming to Broadway and I'm hoping that I can get tickets, I'm really excited to go see it played out. But it really, I feel like it was not intended to be enjoyed as a script that you read. It needed to really be played out in front of you. I feel like the play makes more sense as a play than it does as a book. But I really liked getting to see Harry's development as a father. Obviously, he grew up without a father, and seeing the effects of all of the events that played out in the original series was very interesting to me. So I really, really hope that I can get to go see the play and see it as it was intended to be seen. What about Ilver Morni? I've been thinking about working on a video about what happens when you grow up and the things you love start to let you down. But with that said, I've been pretty disappointed with the information we've received so far regarding Ilver Morni. I don't know if that's something I want to get into today, but it's the reason why I don't identify with a house, and it's a reason why I haven't wanted to make any Ilver Morni related crafts. I feel like we're going to hear more about it in the later Fantastic Beasts movies because some of the characters actually attended Ilver Morni. So maybe I'll change my mind later, but for now, I'm just kind of pretending it doesn't exist. Favorite form of fan creation? Oh man, I have to say Wizard Rock. I can't not say Wizard Rock for this answer. Music based on the Harry Potter series has absolutely changed my life. The community around it, the opportunities it's given me, the people I've met because of Wizard Rock, it's such a huge part of my life, and I love it. It covers all genres, it's written by fans, there's a very DIY aspect of it. Most people just record it themselves without any kind of representation or record labels. When people are curious, I usually recommend that they go to a concert, because that is really how you find out what Wizard Rock is all about. You get to hear the music, first of all, hear it performed live, because I feel like that's the best way to experience Wizard Rock. But there is an energy around the community that is impossible to describe, and the best part about the whole thing. It's so accepting and warm and creative and beautiful, and I can't recommend it highly enough. Go to a Wizard Rock concert, if you can, at some point in your life. How much does Harry Potter mean to you? Harry Potter means everything to me. It's changed my life for the better. It's the reason why I met my husband. It's given me the ability to do what I love for a living. It gives me a way to connect with people. I feel like my entire generation has this thing in common, and it's amazing to me that I can make a video about Harry Potter and post it on the internet, and people find it and they engage with it and they relate to it. How incredible is that? For more on this one, I started the Harry Potter Impact tag, and I have a video where I answer a bunch of questions about how Harry Potter has changed my life. Okay, so as it turns out, there's basically a never-ending list of questions you can ask Harry Potter fans. If there are any questions that I didn't answer or you'd like me to elaborate further, leave them in the comments below and maybe I'll make another video like this in the future. And if you haven't already, definitely subscribe to my channel if you've gotten this far, because I make tons of Harry Potter related videos and DIY tutorials inspired by the books, and I think you'll like them. Plus, we always chat a ton in the comments when the video is over, and it's always fun to make friends who like the same things you do. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.